Welcome back to another video. We've bought some stuff for our workshop. Yay! We finally got an opportunity to get a bigger compressor. We got ourselves an air hose winder. I think that's what it's called. So that's very handy because you can put it somewhere and then you have your air hose available. Also, it's automatically rewinding itself. So that will be mounted somewhere behind me, probably right in the middle of the workshop. So these are the safety things that you can put on your luggage and stuff. And my plan is to use them as things that can hold, for example, brake calipers if you're removing them, so you can attach it to the chassis or somewhere. So I used zip ties for it before, but the problem is that if you're doing it very often, then you have no zip ties anymore. That's kind of annoying. Then we've got some air pressure gauge for tires because our old one broke. And also we've got ourselves a new pin punch set because our old one is kind of broken. They are very damaged. So yeah. In this particular package, here we have a spring compress kit. So this is a tool that if you're working on stock cars, it's kind of necessary because when you're changing springs and you don't have coilovers, then you're most likely required to compress your springs on the shock absorber. So you put your springs in one of that things here. There are three different sizes, so you can compress the spring and do your whatever you'd like to do. Things we had before were these two separate ones, but they're a little bit sketchy, so this is a lot safer. I think this is like 100 euros probably. The next thing we bought is an oil catch tray, which I will not unpack now, but it's like a big thing where you can drop your oil into. Before we used a 60-liter oil can, a big one, and had something like a tray light on top of it. And here we have this thing. This is for our engine crane. So I bought that because last time I tried to use my engine crane, the hook was too small. And this actually extends the hooking points to 4, and you can also change the balance when you're pulling engines out. Never used this before, but I think they're quite handy. And last but not least, we've got ourselves a new gearbox lever lift thing. So it's actually this thing, but in new it can also lift up a couple of centimeters higher. And we will not throw that away. I will need to reseal it because it's losing a lot of oil and it's also not working correctly anymore. But I've been in a lot of situations where you need 2 of those, especially if you're working on gearboxes or putting exhaust off, so we'll have a second one. If you're planning in the future or searching for a workshop, these are the things that I think are very important. If you do have your workshop or trying to get into working on cars, doing a project. So the first thing I would suggest for anyone is a toolbox. You can buy them for I don't know, this was 550, 600 euros. You have plenty of tools and it's all organized. That's the first one. You'll definitely need a jack, that's for sure. If you take a look back here, this you will probably need as well if you don't have a car lift. These are jack stands, so you can secure a car because working only from a jack itself is kind of sketchy, not so safe. Another nice thing to have are such blocks. We have 4 of them. They're very nice when you're trying to jack up cars on the differential and stuff, so it's on metal to metal. They're also nice distance spacers when you have trouble reaching some points or when you have trouble reaching jack-up points, which is sometimes the case on a car lift. Coming to the next point, a workbench. This is also very important. You have room to place some stuff onto it, work on it, disassemble things, assemble things. You can, for example, buy things like these, or you can build it yourself. I mean, we didn't build this, but we've bought it and it's been built by someone. For example, here it's very handy because we can place all our tools in the lower shelf. Also talking about car lifts. If you're in that nice position where you can afford and place a car lift into your shop, I would definitely do it because it's way more fun to work on cars on a lift than crawling on the ground. And also, if you have the possibility, just try to buy a lift with that traverse on top. Makes things a lot easier because you don't have to roll over the thing underneath or drive over it. Obviously, if you're trying to or planning to pull an engine crane would help. So to wrap things up, this is the air compressor that I've been talking about, our new achievement. Then we've got a little compressor. Then we've got an air hose running down here and up there to that air piping that we are very lucky to have pre-installed already in the workshop. Goes up above, over the ceiling, and back here we have our air hose winder that's connected to the pipe, and this is the setup we use right now. We would be very happy if you like and subscribe to the channel. See you next time.